Hi, and thanks so much for joining me for this Get Ready With Me featuring a lot of new makeup. Starting off with the foundation from Chanel, it's the Vitalumiere Aqua, and I know it's not new to Chanel or new to you, but it's new to me, and I got it in the shade 40 Beige, so we're going to try that on today. We also have the entire Chantecaille collection. We've got the bronzer, highlighter, and both of the lip shades. We have the new Victoria Beckham products, the brow and the contour, and then a not new to them, but new to me shade, and it's in the shade Tanline. I've been trying out a lot of ESUM palettes. We have here the blush palette this time, and there are 5 shades here. We'll try them all on. I have them all on for you, just a little bit of every shade. And there were a couple of surprises here. They weren't as I expected, but in a good way. So let's go ahead and get started. I actually already filmed this once, but this is such a minimal look that it almost didn't come across on camera. So I'm gonna go in and just emphasize a little bit more compared to real life, just so you can see the results, because I feel like from beginning to end, it didn't look that much different. So I do want you to be able to see the products in action a little bit better. So I'm gonna try this again. I just wanna show you this drink because I'm gonna be drinking this today. It's so cute. It's blue because I thought you would be interested in this. It's the Blueberry Lavender Tea by the Republic of Tea, and it's a daily beauty beautifying botanical. I was just trying to find something that had a blueberry lavender flavor. It's got collagen promoting blue butterfly pea flowers. So it's an interesting product. There were some other things in here, but I just go ahead and I make an iced tea. I add some ice and I use a non-dairy milk, and I just mix it up. And I have some unhealthy lychee jellies in there, but I got this idea from a tea store near us, and I was going there a lot, but I wanted to control the sugar a little bit, and I put my own, oh, I forgot. I have honey in there too, a little bit of Manuka honey. First though, we're gonna go in with this Chanel product. It's one of the very last foundations I'm trying from them. I've tried almost everything. I've got to check and see which ones I've missed, but I feel like I have almost everything. It's a Vitalumiere Aqua that so many of you love in 40 Beige. Like I said, I filmed this before, so I already know that I really liked the way it went on. It seems to have more warmth than other items that are 40 in the line for me. So you can see there, it has some nice warmth to it. I really like the way it looks on the skin though. It's a more fluid formula. So you do have the potential for streaks here. And I tried applying this with my hands at first, and I definitely got some streaks, but of course with the Shiseido brush, it does a really nice job. So just so you can see, this is half. It's really fast. It's got SPF 15, but I definitely would not rely on this for SPF. Plus, this is such a light layer that I don't know how much protection it'll really provide, but something is better than nothing, I guess. Light, weightless kind of foundation with sheer coverage. I think it says sheer to medium. I do want to go in and lighten up the eye concealer a little bit because I'm using the Chanel one. Those of you who have this know how perfecting it is, so since this isn't super perfected, I'm going to go in with this Ulla Henriksen. This is the CC stick. Oh, oops, almost dropped it. This is the Banana Bright Vitamin CC stick. I've actually been using this by itself on the daily for very minimal brightening because it's a bit sheer also. So I'm gonna put this on first so I don't have to add as much of the actual concealer. This takes away some of that darkness and just refracts the light nicely. I think I just realized I accidentally skipped eye cream. I think I put on the eye serum, but not the cream. I don't know what happened. So we're gonna see what this is like without eye cream today. So we've got this Chanel eye concealer. I'm gonna just try and take the teeniest, tiniest bit. You can see there how lovely and perfecting it is, but just in combination with something more sheer, I wanna sheer this out too. I think that Rose product by Chantecaille would also do a similar job. I also ordered some Ceylon sunglasses. I want to see how heavy they are because I love the oversized look of them. But do you see here I was wearing sunglasses today and it leaves an indentation. They're not the ones with the pads on them. So I'm surprised that they don't leave a deeper indentation. So I'm wondering if the Celines are like that. So I'm going to try. Let's go in with some other concealers as usual. We've got the Clé de Peau as normal in Mocha. I know some of you have figured out that different shades for different seasons is a good idea. So Honey is the other one I would pull for, depending on the season. Now this has actually been my go-to makeup recently, where it just really features the skin. Okay, of course, Perfect Blur Powder by Chantecaille. We're gonna go in with a little bit of this La Prairie. This is the Victoria Beckham, and when I edited that video, a little bit of red was popping up, but there isn't really red in here like I thought there would be. I mean, I love a little bit more gray or green in here, but you'll see it does draw individual hairs better than probably any other brow product I've tried, but you have to be really careful. Like, I put too much pressure on there, so it's a little bit of a learning curve to figure out how much pressure to add. So I'm trying to go really lightly here, but let me push down a little bit more here on the arch here, just so you can see that you can get a pretty intense color. So that's light pressure, and that's a lot more pressure. So you can get a range of depth from this. Now I love the Gucci brow pencil, and I know a lot of you do too. You have a little bit less ability to give it that kind of finesse, but it's also less work. Like, this requires time, but you get a different result with this also, a little bit more refined. It's as close to like what I think microblading would look like if I had microblading, which I don't. But you can also go in really quickly. Kind of just gave up there, and I went in a little bit more heavy-handedly. If you use the triangle part of this, like there's a triangle shape to the end of this, it's not round. It's a triangle shape. And so if you take this pointed area and apply with that, it's a little bit more precise. But my question is, once you use that, it gets a little bit dull, and so it's not as precise as the first time you apply it. So I'm gonna go in a little bit heavier with this, because I think that was one of the issues when I tried to show this the first time, is it was so light you could barely see it. So I'm gonna go in a little bit heavier, and I think that gives you a nice idea too of how much depth you can get, and also the shade. Yeah, the more I build this up, the more you'll be able to actually see the color of it. So let me go for it a little bit here. But do know that you can also go in quite light-handedly too and get a really nice effect. So let me see if I can at least show you here, because I have no hair. And that was the one thing I think we all wanted to see, was what does this look like for someone who doesn't have beautiful eyebrows, because the models that they used had beautiful brows. I don't think they needed any brow pencil at all, maybe just a little gel. I forgot, they did mention if you brush your brows first, you can kind of see what you have to work with, which I learned in a Chanel class once. If you kind of back brush them, you can see maybe you have more brow hair than you thought, which is something I forget to do. So it's always a good idea just to get them up, see what you've got, and then go from there. So I'm going to try and go really light-handedly here with just the corner part, and see how well I can show you. Okay, which way does it go? How well I can show you how you can do individual hairs. You can go really fine, but it takes time. It takes a really light hand, but I think it blends in really well with the rest of my hairs. Like, if I wanted just a light brow here, let's try that. Let's just try a light brow, and then you can see the difference. Maybe that will help. And then of course I'll even them out. That's what it would look like if you wanted to go in light-handedly. So I'm gonna even them out though, but I wanted to show you the versatility of this and what the color looks like. Yeah, I don't know why the images were so red toned. Okay, so now I remember why I was looking for something like this, because I was looking for a taro tea, one that you could steep, because all of the other ones I saw were like powder mixes, which makes me think, is it really a tea? I don't know, but this definitely is a tea. It's really good. You can tell I really like it. Go ahead with the Victoria Beckham. This is the one in Marble. It's the contour. So this is the right shade for me, because more subtle or you can go deeper. So I chose this because I wasn't sure if this was the shade I needed or the next deepest shade. In fact, I was going to consider trying even the lightest shade because it looked like there was a wide range in terms of what they could work with. And I think it's the right one for sure. And you could just see how easily I was able to blend that in. I didn't even use a brush. So I am gonna build this up just so you can see. So they said if you're not sure to select the lighter one and that you can build it up, which I think is a good rule of thumb because it's really hard to fix something if you pick a shade that's too deep. Yeah, it's hard to fix that, but you can definitely build something up. It's easier to do that. So this is a contour stick, but it doesn't have the same grayish tone that like the Kevyn Aucoin contour has. Like that really looks like a grayish shadow tone. This doesn't have that. It reminds me of some of my bronzers. So I am applying a bit more than I normally would, just so you can see. I'm gonna go on my forehead as well. Now what I liked about this is that it said it was transfer proof. I haven't tested that yet, but we can do a wear test for sure. It's really nice. Blends really easily. As you can see, I'm just continuing to build it up. Definitely see it on my skin tone if you are close to my skin tone. Okay, so you can see right there how nice that is, and then it kind of tapers off too, which is nice, which is why I like this size, because you can make it a little bit more precise, and with bronzer sticks it covers a lot more area than say something like that. Yeah, that very slight shape there, it helps to taper it off. I wouldn't go that defined in real life, but just to show you that you can see this on the skin. So yeah, you can really see it there. I'm gonna contour my nose so you can see what that looks like. I don't normally contour my nose, but I know in two-dimensional situations like film or photography, it helps. Especially for my nose, it's very small right here on the bridge. So any dimension I can get there. I have had pictures where it looks like I just have two nostrils on my face and no nose because it is so small. Like I said, on the bridge of the nose. Try not to go too far down here or else it looks kind of odd. And then another place I saw them apply it was right here under the lip like this. And then right here. Okay, so that is the contour. It's very nice. I'm glad I picked it up. And one thing you do have with this, I forgot to mention, you want to make sure you put the lids on, is that you have two different sizes here because this size will take this taller one. But if you put the shorter one on here, you'll smash the top of that if you don't wind it all the way down. So just be careful. Make sure you pay attention when you apply the lids back on, unlike me. This is the Victoria Beckham in Pecan. Let me do this for you because I feel like I questioned what was different about Pecan here and this one, the contour. So Pecan is this one, the contour is here, so there's more gray. You can see more gray here on the contour, a little bit more red on Pecan, and also Pecan has more of a matte finish versus this. And I also washed my hands when I had this on the first time, and I noticed that Pecan was really hard to remove, the eye product. Okay, so I just took a paper towel and I was able to wipe off the contour but not the eye product. That makes me wonder about the long term or the extended wear of the contour. So I'm just gonna go in and build some dimension here. This is my favorite eye lately. It's very simple. I'm sure I'll get tired of this at some point and want to put on more makeup, but for now, especially in the summer, I love this look. It's really fresh looking. A little bit more than what I would normally wear. We're gonna go in with a Chantecaille bronzer. I just wanna show you side by side. This is not a new shade. I love Sirena. I prefer it to Goa on my skin tone. So we have limited edition packaging here, but this shade itself is not new. That is the bronzer. I went deeper on that too. Actually, that's a little bit lower than I wanted. Let me just add a little bit more. Okay, so that's the bronzer. And then you've got the, ooh, see how defined you can get that with the contour? Or you can get something softer like that with the bronzer. Actually, let me just blend it a little bit. Got the beautiful highlighter here. I'm going to take this REPHR brush, this 04 brush, and you can see the color on there. And I'm just going to apply it here. I cannot find my other highlighter brush, so we're gonna go with this. It's such an easy product to use. It's so beautiful. It's got a lovely warm glow to it, and it's for those people who are not huge highlighter people. It looks like that because there is a certain powder element to this. I'm on my eyelids here, but it does look really pretty on the skin. I feel like my nose is very apparent in terms of the highlighter. Let's just take this number 12 REPHR. I'm going to go down my nose with the highlighter here. Make a little bit of the blur powder because I feel like it's sticking out too much. The contour, it's too far this like out. Just want to make sure it's not too far away from the bridge of my nose. Okay, and then let's add a little bit here to the cupid's bow. And that's right underneath that, let me put under here too. It's just a little bit closer to my lip than the contour that I put. So it was like contour further out and then the highlighter further in. So this has been my favorite eyeliner with this look, is a gray eyeliner. And this is Ash by Victoria Beckham. I need to blend that a little, don't I? I don't usually put on that much, so it doesn't require as much blending, but let me see what I can do here. But I'm going to do this first before I do that. I'm not going to tight line, I'm not going to go on the waterline. I'm just going to apply a little bit of eyeliner here. Go ahead and add eyeliner and also some mascara, and we'll go ahead and finish up the face and then play with some color. I went in with the Tower 28 and then I just took a little brush and took a little bit of the blur powder and just kind of tried to buff that in a little bit more. Maybe it's not standing out as much to you, but it's definitely standing out to me. Then this has been my go-to lip, which does not look like anything I would ever pick. I know that reds look good on camera, berries look good on camera. This is not going to translate well onto camera, but I do want to show you what this looks like all together. Definitely not a shade I would typically select, but I've been loving it. I need a little bit more powder, hold on. I'm just gonna powder a little bit in the front. This has been the look I've been going for, especially with the simpler pieces in my wardrobe. Very understated wardrobe, very understated makeup. But then sometimes I'll put a little bit of the Valentino No. 9 blush because it's so subtle, just to kind of tie this together. Oh, I did want to mention, I tried this, and I think it was an interesting solution to this area right here. Okay, so this is the Victoria Beckham in Trench. And I get little lines down here, I have little lines there, and concealer can kind of gather in there. So I take this trench and I just run it underneath, right under the lash line, not in the waterline, but right under the lash line where those little lines are. And it just perfects it. So you can see the difference there. So I love how this is like my skin tone in this area, and I just use it for that. I haven't done a wear test on that yet, but it does smooth that area. If you're gonna use Pecan and layer it, just be careful because it might bunch up like it's bunching up a little. But like I said, I don't ever put that much on in real life. I just do one layer and then I buff it out and it's very smooth. But I think the fact that I went in a little bit later, it started to bunch. I wanna go in with the blush. So we've got this ESUM palette, and let's do the blushes first. So we're gonna go in with, I'm gonna go with as many as I can. Let's go in with this 104 brush. We're gonna go in with this one first. This is the ESUM palette, And there's five different shades in there. I'm gonna try and try on as many as I can here. So this is the first one. This is the first one on the top. Beautiful blush. So it's probably the coolest one. I'm gonna go in with this. Oh, here, let's use this brush. I'm gonna go in with this blush next, the other pinkish one, but it's got more of a warmth to it, which would probably be my go-to blush out of all of these. Going really nicely. So if you're like me and you like to layer blushes, this is a great one. Set a little bit high, but you can see the shade there. This shade over here I placed here, and then this shade I placed here. It's a little bit more vivid. Nice comparison of the two. Let me even them out. So I'm going to take this now and add it over here. Yeah, you can definitely see that it livens things up, but I like the really understated cool tone of this other one on top. Not too cool even if you have skin tone like me. So I'm just taking that first one and just applying it on this side. Just kind of blending the two together is what I'm trying to do. I do need to take this though and kind of clean up the edges. So I'm gonna go in with more blush here in a moment. So let's get this in good shape first. Went a little high there with the blush. Going with a pop of this color. Gosh, we're gonna have all kinds of things happening here. Just so I want you to see the shades. So it doesn't have that like sun-kissed kind of tone to it. And then let's go in with this one, the more intense orangey corally color. I guess it's a coral color. Put it over here. So you can see the tone on that. And I'm gonna blend those again. Buff brush. Now we're gonna take this shade right here, this plum shade. Oh, I'm gonna get them all on my face today, aren't I? And you can see right there, it's like a magenta. It's really pretty. We're gonna just go underneath slightly and add a little bit more dimension right there. And buff it in. Very easy blush to use, blended easily, evenly. Okay, let's go in with these lip shades by Chantecaille. We've got both of the shades here and we'll try them both on. I just need to remove this lip gloss. Here's the color of the lip gloss, by the way. Let's go in with Freesia. This is the Lip Chic formula. It's the Cosmos collection. This is described as a sheer beige rose. And that's a really beautiful color. It's subtle, it's my lips, but a little bit cooler, and I think it works really well. So if you want something that's very close to your lip tone and your my coloring, really beautiful. Let's go in with Ceylon. And this is described as a sheer black orchid. I looked at the playback a little bit and it was definitely patchy here with the Victoria Beckham Pecan because I had layered on more than I typically do. So I would suggest going in with one thin layer. That's probably all you need in real life. If you want to build, I would build with something different like a powder, but not with that stick formula because it will start to set. And if some of it sets and you put on another layer, it's a little bit hard to move around. It's not as even. So I'd stick with one layer there. So what I did to fix that is I went in with a bit of the, I hope I fixed it okay. I went in with the Sirena bronzer. I took a little bit of that and I blended it in. And then I wanted to go over that with the Perfect Blur powder, but I accidentally dipped my brush into the highlighter because they look very similar if you look at them. This looks just like the blur powder, the pattern on it, but when you apply it, of course, it's a highlighter. So I accidentally put a little highlighter on and then I went over it with the Perfect Blur powder. So that's what I did in that eye area. In case you run into that issue with a stick product, you can go in with a powder and try and even things out. So I did want to let you know I fixed that there. But talking about the products, I think I loved everything here. I think this is a lovely foundation. It's very lightweight. It's very comfortable on the skin. I can see why so many people love this. And it is a more sheer coverage, which is what I like. I don't want my face to be totally covered up by makeup or feel like I'm wearing a lot of makeup. So this is a nice one for that if you like that kind of coverage. Now I'm curious about the difference between that and the Beige, because the finish and the coverage reminded me of each other, even though I know they're not the same product at all. But there's a very skin-like healthiness without a stickiness, which is what I like. So some of the dewier glow products leave like a overly hydrated surface, but I have combo skin, so I need to be careful in the summer especially. So I do like that this dried down really nicely, and that was a great shade too. Then we had the Victoria Beckham products, and this is where the surprises came from, because I was expecting this to look red. It does not look red. I didn't expect it to be as versatile as it is in terms of being able to do a light-handed, actual individual hair kind of pencil and then get this intensity here. So I didn't expect that. I didn't expect it to cover so well on an area that doesn't have any hair, because the models that they used had beautiful eyebrows to begin with. There wasn't a model I think they used that had very sparse brows that needed to be filled in. So you could see here that I was able to fill in really nicely and be able to build really naturally. So I like the versatility of this. Would not recommend it for beginners though. There's a little bit of a learning curve. You've got to be very, very precise and light-handed if you want to do the individual hairs, but it achieves that in a way that other brow products I have don't. Love the Gucci pencil, but that one covers a lot of real estate very quickly, and then I just break it up with a spoolie, but it doesn't have the ability for the individual hairs like this one does. But time will tell again if that precision remains even after using it for a while. Really liked this. So happy with the performance and the color. And then we've got this contour stick. So I didn't think this was something I needed, which is why I was wondering, what is this for? Because I've got lovely bronzers. I've tried contours. I don't really contour my face, but I feel like the shade here is between a contour and a bronzer. It's not a traditional contour in that it's got a really gray shadowy tone to it, but this provides precision that a bronzer doesn't provide. So you could see the bronzer there looks really beautiful. I love Sirena, by the way, but you could see here that I was able to take this down and really taper it off. And that's difficult to do with a bronzer because typically a stick bronzer is going to be a lot bigger than this, and I think it's the shape that does the job here. Also great for the nose area if you like to contour the nose, and I like that it's not a totally gray shade either. So I like that it is more on the bronzery side of the tone. So I really like this in tandem with a highlighter. So a balmy highlighter is a really great pairing to this. I think I did that in the video, the vlog that was up recently. I used it with the Victoria Beckham highlighter, which is this one right here. Very nice as well if you want a really natural kind of finish. This one's really nice too, a combo. So those were my surprises, as well as this lip shade. And I don't know if it's going to translate well on camera, but I've been loving this lip shade. It goes really well with a very simple, understated look. I love this. I thought it would give like a grayish tone, which looks unhealthy, but I don't think it does that. I think it makes it just look really sophisticated, very fresh, very polished. Then we got the Chantecaille products, which I love. I love Sirena, you already know that. I loved the highlighter here. If you're looking for a powder highlighter that's natural, I wouldn't say that it hides any fine lines because I can still see the texture of my skin. With any reflective quality, you are going to see texture more than with more matte kind of finish, just because the highlighter will bounce the light off surfaces. But what I can say is that it doesn't make my skin look any worse because other highlighters can do that. They can make my skin look worse than it is, and I have just fine lines here, and I think it looks very much like my skin. So I think they did a great job of being able to add a little bit of a glow without emphasizing texture. I think it looks really pretty. So if you're looking for a subtle highlighter, I would definitely go with this one. Then we've got the lip shades here. Now I loved Freesia because it's kind of like my speed these days where I'm not actually adding much color at all. But this is also pretty, Ceylon. It's just up to your preference, but I think they both work with my skin tone if you are similar to my skin tone. And then lastly, we have the ESUM blush palette. Their blushes are lovely. I looked it up and it says it's a matte skin finish. So I think what they mean is that it's got the finish of just a natural matte without sparkly particles in there, because it's not a flat matte. It doesn't completely absorb light, but it does have a lovely skin-like finish. And I like the variety in here as well, especially if you are a blush person and you want choices, then I think this is a great one. And lovely performance on these, and they all have the same finish, it looks. there isn't a variety of finishes here. They all look like the same finish, which is a very natural effect. Let me know if you have any of these products, what you think of them. It always helps to leave your comments in the comment section below because it helps other people who are reading the comments as well. But that is it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.